Welcome to Women at Halftime podcast for men and women at mid-career or the halftime of life with issues that concern you. Maximize your skills, resources, and experience to live an even more fulfilling and significant second half of life. Right here with me, Deborah Johnson, on Women at Halftime podcast. Well, hello, Deborah Johnson here. Good to be with you today with a wonderful subject, the 20-year overnight success. What is success? And I'm going to really do my best to help describe how you can define that in your life. And I know I've had to describe that in mine. I've worked in the arts for a number of years as a professional musician. And when I started realizing just working into this field, no matter what I'm doing, I do a number of different things because I've raised a family at the same time, and very successful because the 1% of 1% are working in this field. But we can always try to judge our success with others. And also the fact that I've completed so many projects. And if you're watching the video, you can see me hold up the books that I've completed. The recent one, The Summit, which is an allegory, story within a story. Great little book. Get it if you've not read it. It's short, easy to read, very impactful. And Women at Halftime, that really shows you kind of more of a guide for your climbing hero mountain, and gives you all the steps there, application points. Some other books I've done as well. But the fact of just finishing projects as well is a great place to measure success. So that's what we're talking about today. And hopefully I will illuminate some of this for you, so you will be able to answer it in your own life. I do have some free downloads in the article that accompanies this, so make sure that you get those. So what's success to you, and have you defined it? And can it really happen overnight? Because sometimes it really seems like it can, right? When we look at others, we can make that judgment. They're so super successful and they got there so fast. And look, they're getting all the breaks, but that's usually not the case. Though the media and the messaging we get, it can paint a picture far from reality, that it can. And we have to kind of take a step back, because part of success is defining what success means to you, and then realizing when you arrive at what you've defined. So part of your definition of success is also dependent on a number of factors. And that takes a sense of self-awareness. Dolly Parton, amazing songwriter, she knew she was different than the thousands of other songwriters when she wrote the song, "I Will Always Love You" in 1974. Elvis Presley wanted to record this song, but when his manager asked Dolly to sign over half of her publishing rights, she refused. Now, this was not easy. Not easy at all with this opportunity. I mean, this was Elvis. And she cried all night, but it was one of the smartest decisions she ever made. And I've known musicians that have had to make some of these decisions as well with some of their songs with organizations like Disney and some of the others. But she had enough self-awareness, Dolly Parton did, and she was already successful as a songwriter. And she wanted to hang on to all of her intellectual rights. And she felt "I Will Always Love You" was a hit. It was something special. And she was right. When Whitney Houston made the song, one of the biggest recordings of all time, in 1992's The Bodyguard, Dolly kept all of her royalties as the publisher and the writer. So if anyone questions Dolly Parton's success, you can also look at Dollyland. I mean, she's been extremely successful, but she knew she had that self-awareness. So in defining your meaning of what success is, we're going to look at several areas that will hopefully help you. And the first one is defining your self-awareness. And then we'll look at your personal and professional core values, very important. And finally, to evaluate where you are and where you want to be. All of these will hopefully really help you. So let's talk about self-awareness first. Now, there are very, very few Dolly Parton creatives in the world. She's still going at it. It's amazing. Though there are many who aspire to be like her. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, that aspiration is actually admirable. And it's healthy to look at the journey of others and not only to admire them, but really to learn from them. But it's also important to have a really honest heart-to-heart talk with yourself, to honestly evaluate what your strengths are and what you're actually capable of accomplishing. I cover some of this in my core common denominator. You can even find that in my Women at Halftime book. It's a great evaluation tool. Now, there are many wannabes that have made sacrifices, but they've not achieved the success that they hope to attain, and especially in the arts, but also in other fields of business. We can look at the numbers. In 2021, there were 5.1 million new small business applications, surpassing 2020's record of 4.4 million. But statistics, they still tell us, according to sources, fortunately is one, you can look that up in the article, I put that in there, but only 78% of small businesses survive the first year. And the greatest challenge is that lack of capital. But the most common reason that they fail, this is it, is that the market has no need for their product or their services. The market doesn't just need another album, doesn't need just another music show, doesn't need just another self-help product. So it's really where the self-awareness comes into play. And at some point, we all need to evaluate really carefully what is working and what is not working. I wholeheartedly agree with Winston Churchill's statement of never, never, never give up. What a great quote. However, this quote doesn't mean that you can't shave off and drop what's clearly not working. And it's a good exercise to consistently evaluate your personal strengths and what is and what is not working in your life and in your business. It's just like pruning a tree or pruning a bush. It's important to cut some of that back so you have enough room for the new growth. Step 2, after that self-awareness, is to define your values. And I can't stress this enough. What do you really value in life? And it's a very important step, because by defining what is really, truly important to you, you'll be able to affirm success in those value areas. So take the time to evaluate your core values, both professionally and personally. And you can get the free download that I have in the article. You don't have to sign up for anything. It's absolutely free for core values. Now, one of my values at this point in my life is similar to what Tim Ferriss aspired to in the 4-hour work week. He desired a more mobile lifestyle and freedom of time and space. And he had to make some sacrifices to get there. He worked 80-hour work weeks, so it wasn't easy for him. Now, I don't really add up my weekly hours. I know I have a lot of them because I have a home office and I love my work, but that flexibility is part of my focus and part of my core values at this point in my life, because to work remotely and automate many parts of my business, it frees me up, not only creatively to work most anywhere, but for the travel with my husband, and now travel to see our kids, our family. So your professional values will influence your personal values and vice versa. They're very connected in so many ways. And if I can inspire you to do that, to take the time and to not just do it once, to always evaluate those, I will have done my job. But there are those I understand who are hard driving type A personalities, and they make different choices than those who are happy showing up every day and putting in their time, punching their time card. And I actually categorize myself as a type A personality, especially in my work ethic. But I'm not so hard driving as to not keep my family in focus as one of my top core values. However, I do not overly criticize others who don't, because many of them have enriched our lives with innovation and creativity. We can look at some of those examples. And one of the most important takeaways here is to define your own values. So when you do define the extent of your success, you will feel successful when achieving those values. And they're not totally dependent on a financial gain or a big business or fame or success. Collis Potter Huntington, he lived from 1821 to 1900. He helped lead and develop major interstate railway lines, so the intercontinental railway lines. And even though he helped link a big part of the eastern United States by rail, he was generous in providing bribes to politicians and congressmen. And this made him one of the most hated railroad men in the country. But he wasn't aiming to be liked. He was aiming for influence and power. That was his definition of success, which is hopefully not yours. But he achieved it, but he also achieved so much that we enjoy today. Well, now let's move on to our step 3. What is success? Define your goals. Now, after thinking through your core values, very important, take the time to do that, please. It's easier in many ways to evaluate true success with goals that are measurable. Now, Huntington, he wasn't aiming for a balanced life. His personal and his professional goals were connected, even though they were not always admirable on the personal level. But he achieved a lot, in fact, that we're enjoying even today the repercussions of. It's a good exercise to evaluate small goals and affirm each success, no matter how small. And you can see my article on tiny habits, the interview I had with that Linda Fogg Phillips, wonderful interview. So you can affirm for your goals, you take time to define that success according to your personal resources, then your professional resources. And you can separate all of these small goals in evaluating your time. It's one of your most valuable resources, your stability, your leisure time, finances, and even significance. And you can define as many areas to evaluate as you wish, but keep them simple and easy to rate. One of the most and biggest problem in creating goals is you can't measure them. So each of those areas should have some sort of a measure stick that you can measure them. And well, it could be like the ability to take off at least a half or a full day a week for a project or event. And I'm wanting to put in like a half day to be able to take extra bike rides and to keep in shape. I mean, those are great little goals and values for me. And for leisure, success could be scheduling a trip on your bucket list. Even if you're not close to bucket list age, take that trip. Leisure is also closely linked with freedom of time and space. And finances, well, those are fairly self-explanatory, but how much is really enough? It's a good exercise to name monetary number of what you need monthly, especially as an entrepreneur. And increased success could mean the ability to give more, and that can easily be measured. A good article about having enough is the one I wrote on when is enough enough. And it's good for us to measure. And my husband and I talk about this. How much do we really need to make monthly and enjoy our life as where we are in our life right now? Many who are at mid-career or the halftime of life, they start thinking more about significance and what you leave behind and how you can really make a difference. And you don't have to start working with a nonprofit or start a nonprofit to really make a difference. I mean, you can make a difference in a friend or a colleague's life with a note of encouragement. So take time to write your ideas down, and it will affirm your success. And that's very, very important, because you're not always spinning your wheels wondering, am I really there? So what does success really take? Well, it does take action, and it also takes perseverance. Now, Barry Gordon, he was the founder of Motown Records and the owner. He wasn't impressed at all with Stevie Wonder at first. I mean, at 11 years old, Stevie was this little 11 years old, and he was blind, but he could play every single instrument. And he just kept playing another one and playing, and Gordy wondered, how am I going to tell this kid that I don't like him? But Barry Gordy says, when Stevie played the harmonica, ooh, that got him signed. And the rest is history, as Stevie is one of the world's best-selling musicians, an incredible musician, as even a blind musician. Now, Bruno Mars, the singer, songwriter, and record producer and dancer, great dancer, actually, he was dropped by his record label at 19. And he was an unemployed DJ who struggled to fill his car with gas, although some of us are struggling with that right now. But he was truly struggling, and he almost gave up. But then one of his songs hit, and he received 13 Grammy nominations within 10 years. And he did not quit because he knew he had something. And if you watch him, you do know he has something special. So it's a great exercise to define what success means to you. Otherwise, you may never feel you got there. And celebrate those small successes, as small successes add up to large successes. And always remember how important relationships are. Don't forget that. They are a gift. And with valued relationships, you should feel very successful. I've shared before, I have several different groups in my life. One is a lifetime group that I've kept around for at least 20 years. We've met, we don't meet real often, maybe every couple months. And during, of course, the shutdowns, we always would meet on Zoom. But we are able to encourage each other. And the value of encouragement, it can't be understated. My business that I first started with my DJ Works and turned into DJ Works Music, now DJ Works Media, but it's kind of the umbrella of everything I do because I use a lot of media. The whole thing started when I was growing up, really in junior high school years, maybe even elementary, but I would make these hand-drawn cards for some of my neighbors and my friends and just little notes of encouragement. Very rough. But it's what my business has always been about, is inspiring more than just teaching. I can teach, and anybody can almost put together a lot of material together. There's so much information out there. But to inspire, if you can inspire somebody in music, I did this for a number of years. If I can inspire somebody to love music, they will be on their own journey. All I have to do is come alongside and give them enough information. I'm doing this with my granddaughter right now, just to inspire, to show her where she can be. Of course, I have to teach the little things. I don't teach anymore, hardly, but this is a gift I can give with some of my family members. Little tiny bits at a time. I have to teach those principles, but inspiring, to love it. The worst thing you can do is just hammer, 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 hammer. And as a teacher, hopefully I have some teachers listening, because if you can inspire someone to learn for themselves, to read for themselves, how exciting that is. I know many teachers right now are so challenged because they're working with so many regulations and so much new material. But if you can inspire someone in your life to be able to move forward, that is true success. And that's success in my book as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this today. And I hope it's encouraged you in some way to really affirm that you are successful where you are, that you can measure that in even tiny little ways of saying, yes, I am a success. I don't need to be this huge star. No, but I can be successful encouraging somebody else in my personal goals. I know I am reaching some of those core values that I have in my life. And I hope that's encouraged you today and that you're able to take action on really defining this in your life. So thank you for being with me. You can always reach me at womenathalftime.com. Any of my other websites, you can find me a lot of different places. Of course, I speak, Deborah Johnson Speaker, DJ Works Music. People love going there. Goalsforyourlife.com. A lot of free material all the time. So get on my newsletter, please. Sign up. Don't spam, and you'll get my e-articles and the podcasts every week in your inbox. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. Share and follow us for new shows to inspire you and encourage you in your life's journey. You can find all of our articles and links at womenathalftime.com.